sound engine.
Welcome back, you magnificent horde of metal-mangling maniacs, to the Ironhead Forge channel, where we transform lumps of steel into sharp, pointy objects that make terrible life decisions look stylish. I'm your host, the guy who spent more time wrestling a hammer than arguing with his mother-in-law. And today, we're serving up a slice of blacksmithing so hot, it could make a dragon sweat. You've stuck with us through the smoke, the sparks, and that one time I tried to commune with the forge and ended up with a singed eyebrow. So strap in, because we're about to dive into the fiery abyss of craftsmanship with a blade so fancy it could star in its own period drama. Let's kick things off with the Damascus steel we used for this gloriously pokey masterpiece. Imagine this. We grabbed 1095 and 15 N20 steel, stacked them like a particularly vengeful layer cake, and then beat them into submission in the forge. Why? Because nothing screams, "I'm passionate," like folding metal 100 times until it begs for mercy and emerges looking like a tie-dye shirt from a wizard's wardrobe. This Damascus is so gorgeous, you could probably convince your uncle to stop wearing socks with sandals. And sharp? Sweetheart, this blade could slice through a politician's promise without breaking a sweat. We didn't just forge this pointy, pokey blade. We summoned it in a blaze of molten fury that would make a volcano jealous. But hold on to your forge tongs, because today we're not just flaunting any old knife. Oh no, we're unveiling a true monarch of the Ironhead Forge lineup. A knife from the Marquis line, a blade so regal it probably has its own coat of arms. The name Marquis hails from the Old French, meaning a lord who rules the borderlands, keeping the peasants in line while sipping something pretentious and looking unfairly attractive. This knife is that vibe in steel form. It's the kind of blade that swaggers into a room, demands a throne, and then casually carves a roast so perfectly you'd think it was trained by a Michelin star chef. The Marquis isn't just a knife. It's a power trip for anyone who's ever wanted to feel like they could fend off a werewolf and then use the same blade to peel an apple with flair. Now let's dive into the specs of this aristocratic slicer, because this knife is so extra, it deserves its own entourage. First up, the handle. We've got a trio of materials here that are so ostentatious, they'd probably demand their own VIP section at a knife show. The star of the show is Zeracote wood, which sounds like the name of a villain in a B-movie, but is actually a dark, exotic hardwood with grains so wild, it looks like it's auditioning for a psychedelic rock album cover. This stuff is so stunning, it could make a lumberjack trade his axe for a poetry book. Paired with it is micarta, because nothing says, "I'm rugged yet refined," like a material that's basically the love child of resin and fabric, built to scoff at sweat, tears, and existential dread. And then, because we clearly hate restraint, we tossed in a copper accent. Not just any copper. This is the kind of copper that looks like it was forged in a fairy tale and polished by unicorns. It's so shiny, it could double as a disco ball in a pinch. Next, the guard and pommel nut, crafted from hot blued steel. Hot bluing isn't just a technique, it's a lifestyle. We took that steel, cranked the heat until it was pleading for a timeout, gave it a finish so deep and dark it could star as the brooding anti-hero in a noir film. This guard and pommel nut aren't just practical, they're mysterious, sultry, and probably moonlighting as gothic novel protagonists. But wait, there's more. The pommel itself? Pure, unfiltered, gleaming copper. This thing shines like it's trying to land a role as a lighthouse beacon in a low-budget adventure flick. It's not just a pommel, it's a diva, demanding attention and daring you to look away. Now let's talk about the blade, because this is where the Marquis really shows off its noble bloodline. The Damascus, as we mentioned, is a dazzling blend of 1095 and 15 N20 steel, folded and forged until it's got more layers than a soap opera plot. From tip to guard, this blade stretches a sleek 6 7/8 inches, long enough to make a point, but short enough that you won't accidentally challenge a moose to a duel. The handle measures 4 inches, perfectly sized for those of you who grip your knife like you're starring in a Viking revenge saga. Overall, the Marquis hits 11 3/8 inches of pure, unapologetic bravado. The blade width is 1 1/8 inches, because anything slimmer would be too shy, and anything broader would just be flexing. At a 1/4 inch thick, this blade is sturdy enough to tackle whatever chaos you throw its way, whether that's splitting kindling or intimidating your neighbor's overly enthusiastic lawn flamingo. Weighing in at 9.1 ounces, the Marquis is light enough to carry without feeling like you're lugging around a medieval flail, but heavy enough to remind you that you're holding something serious. This isn't some flimsy paring knife you'd find in your grandma's kitchen. This is a blade that demands respect and possibly its own fan club. Because no Marquis worth its salt would be seen without a proper wardrobe, we've paired this blade with a custom leather sheath from JR's Custom Leather Works. This isn't just a sheath. It's a fashion statement that blends elegance with the kind of rugged charm that makes you want to ride off into the wilderness with a cigar and a bad attitude. The leather is so buttery, it probably gets weekly massages, and the craftsmanship is so meticulous, it could make a tailor cry. This sheath doesn't just protect the Marquis, it elevates it to a level of sophistication that's frankly rude to every other knife you own. So what's the big picture? The Marquis is more than a knife. It's a legacy. It's the kind of blade you'd bequeath to your heirs, assuming they're cool enough to handle it. It's a tool, a masterpiece, and a conversation starter all in one. Picture whipping this out at a campfire. Your friends will be so jealous, they'll probably offer you their entire cooler of beer for it. And the name Marquis? It's spot on. Like a noble lord, this knife commands respect, oozes charisma, probably has a secret chateau somewhere. It's not just a cutting tool, it's a mic drop. Let's pause to appreciate the sheer nerve of this knife. We could have made something dull, something pedestrian, but no, we went all in, over the top. Hold my anvil levels of absurd. The Zerakote, the micarta, the copper, the hot-blued steel, the Damascus. It's all so gloriously overdone. Basically a love letter to anyone who's ever looked at a basic pocket knife and thought, I'm too fabulous for this. And you are too fabulous. You deserve the Marquis. So, there you have it, you spark-chasing, steel-smashing lunatics. Another day, another triumph from Ironhead Forge. If you're sitting there thinking, I need this knife to complete my soul, you're not wrong. Swing by our website where you can ogle more photos of the Marquis and maybe, just maybe, convince yourself to splurge on something this ludicrously spectacular. And if you're not subscribed to the Ironhead Forge channel yet, what are you even doing? Smash that button, ring the bell, and join the ranks of the fire-loving, hammer-swinging weirdos who make this all possible. Until next time, keep your forges blazing, your hammers brutal, your sense of humor sharper than this Damascus blade. This is Ironhead Forge, signing off with a sarcastic smirk. Promise to keep crafting stuff that's way cooler than you probably deserve. Till next time, Ironhead Forge,